my summer squash turned into a pumpkin. It was very fun this year growing this Korean squash for the first time. Korean squash stage 1. The nickname for this squash is avocados. So when I picked it when it was about the size of an avocado, which is a really good size. Korean squash stage 2. When I looked online, it said it was a summer squash that tasted like a zucchini, but a little bit sweeter. So I didn't have any expectations. I didn't know what to expect, except for that I knew that it was a vine variety, and that's what I wanted. After the first harvest, I left my next batch of squash to grow a little bit larger. At this stage, it seemed to have a lot more seeds on the inside, so I decided that picking it as the avocado size was the best thing to do. I fell in love with this plant. It was a beautiful vine. Even from a seedling, it was fun to look at. This is stage 2, when I picked them a little bit larger. As you can see, the seeds were pretty big. I was surprised, and so I told myself that I probably should have picked them the size of an avocado. They still tasted good, but I was disappointed that it had so much seeds inside. Then I noticed that one of them had less seeds than the other, even though they were about the same size. Korean squash stage 3. Hidden in my Korean squash plant, I found this huge squash. And I'm kind of glad I did, or I probably wouldn't have allowed it to grow this big. But it turned out to be another good size to pick. I cut the squash open and it looked a lot like a pumpkin would on the inside. The seeds were big. The edges were that nice avocado, had that nice avocado look to it. The skin is edible at this stage. It's still soft. So I took a bite and it tasted pretty good. Tasted just like the young avocado size. Korean squash stage 4. At this stage, it looked and felt more like a pumpkin, like a winter squash. It was getting these nice green tint to the skin. When I cut it open, I noticed that it was starting to turn orange. The seeds were bigger, but they weren't fully matured yet. I dug it out with a spoon. When you dig it out, it's easier than a pumpkin. It's not as slimy as a pumpkin, and it's easy to get the seeds out. I steamed it until I could pierce the inside with a fork. It tasted like a nice winter squash, with a little bit of sweetness at this stage. Korean squash stage 5. This was the end of October, and I had placed the green squash in my garage. I had 2 that I had saved so I could save some seeds. And when I went to my garage and looked, they had turned orange. When I brought them inside, they were a very dark green. They had been in the greenhouse for a long time and they weren't changing color. So it was a nice surprise to see them orange. My favorite surprise throughout this whole process was that I started out getting myself a summer squash that tasted delicious and ended up having an extra winter squash that also was very sweet and delicious. This squash was hard to cut through, but once you get on the inside, it is very easy to clean. The seeds look nice and large, and I think they have matured enough that I'll be able to save them and try to grow my own. It was the first squash to bear fruit, and I was able to eat it all season. The vines did take a little bit of room, but I had them growing vertically and up over my head. I hope you'll give this squash a try. I think it was worth it. It was fun to discover my summer winter squash. If you like this video and you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you for watching.